INFJs don't hate people, they hate pretending. Small talk feels like running emotional software that drains their internal battery in minutes. While others can float through surface conversations, INFJs feel like they're losing pieces of themselves with every forced smile and shallow word. What looks like quiet politeness on the outside is often deep exhaustion on the inside because their mind is constantly scanning, reading emotions, and analyzing every detail most people miss. Small talk doesn't feed their soul, it empties it. They crave conversations that mean something, that go beyond weather updates or weekend plans. When the dialogue lacks depth, they start to fade. Their intuition wants connection, not chatter. Their empathy wants truth, not performance. This video will dive into the psychology and science behind why INFJs feel so drained by small talk and why meaningful silence can sometimes feel more fulfilling than empty words. If you've ever left a conversation feeling exhausted instead of energized, you're not alone. Stay till the end. This will help you understand your nature, not fight it. Subscribe for more videos that decode the INFJ mind, the logic, the emotion, and the depth most people never see. And tell me in the comments, do you find silence more comforting than small talk? Their brain processes conversations on multiple levels at once. For the INFJ, every conversation is more than words. It's a full-body experience. While most people listen to respond, the INFJ listens to everything. Tone, pacing, word choice, facial microexpressions, even the pauses between sentences. Their brain doesn't just take in one layer of meaning, it analyzes emotional context, hidden motives, and subconscious cues all at once. That level of awareness is a gift, but it's also exhausting. When someone says something simple like, "I'm fine," the INFJ's mind doesn't take it at face value. It notices the subtle drop in tone, the shift in energy, the flicker of discomfort in the eyes, and immediately begins decoding what fine actually means. They're running multiple emotional tabs in the background, reading what's said and what's not said, and reconciling both at the same time. It's why they often sense tension before anyone else does, and why small talk feels like cognitive overload. Their brain processes social information similarly to how an empath's nervous system processes emotional energy deeply and continuously. Studies show that intuitive personalities, like INFJs, have more active neural pathways connecting emotional and analytical centers. This means they don't just hear, they interpret, evaluate, and empathize in real time. It's no wonder they often need quiet time afterward to mentally reboot. That's also why INFJs prefer meaningful conversations over trivial chatter. Their mind is built for depth. It seeks purpose, patterns, and understanding. But in small talk, there's no pattern to read, no truth to uncover, no emotional resonance. So while others may leave feeling recharged after socializing, the INFJ leaves feeling mentally saturated, as if their internal processor just ran at full capacity for something that didn't matter. This is the first layer of their social exhaustion, not introversion, not shyness, but overanalysis, born from high empathy and awareness. The more their mind absorbs, the faster their energy depletes. And that's why what seems like a short, harmless chat to others can feel like emotional burnout to them. They absorb emotional energy even when no one notices. For INFJs, conversations are not just exchanges of words, they are emotional downloads. Every tone, every mood, every subtle shift in energy flows into them like static through an open channel. Even when no one says a word, the INFJ feels it. The sadness hidden behind a smile, the tension that lingers in silence, the quiet resentment in a casual, "I'm fine." Their empathy is not a choice, it's instinctual, automatic, and constant. Imagine walking into a room and instantly feeling the emotional climate shift before anyone even speaks. That's an INFJ's normal. They sense discomfort, jealousy, or unrest before others even notice it exists. It's not magic, it's deep emotional attunement. Their mirror neurons fire stronger than average, meaning they subconsciously mirror and internalize the feelings of those around them. It's why they're often seen as comforting presences. People just feel understood near them. But behind that calm surface, the INFJ is processing emotional turbulence that isn't even theirs. Over time, this emotional absorption becomes draining. After social events, they may feel inexplicably heavy or anxious, even if the conversations were pleasant. It's because they've been carrying unspoken emotions like emotional sponges. They soak up everyone else's energy until their own becomes diluted. And since INFJs rarely want to burden others, they process this quietly, alone. They isolate not out of rejection, but out of necessity. Solitude becomes their way of detoxing from emotional noise. What makes it harder is how invisible this exhaustion is. Most people never notice how much emotional labor the INFJ performs just by being present. They think the INFJ is calm or strong, never realizing that their strength often comes at the cost of internal stillness. They don't show fatigue on the outside because they're masters of emotional regulation, but inside, they're often sorting through the residue of everyone else's feelings. This hidden empathy is both a superpower and a burden. It allows INFJs to connect on profound levels, but it also explains why small talk and crowded environments feel suffocating. They don't just hear the noise, they feel it, absorb it, and carry it until they can finally return to solitude, where peace feels like breathing again. They're wired for depth, not surface interaction. For an INFJ, conversation is never just about words, it's about connection. Their mind craves substance, not chatter. While others can glide through small talk effortlessly, the INFJ feels trapped in it, like a deep-sea diver forced to swim in shallow waters. They don't dislike people, they dislike surface-level interaction. Their brain is wired to search for meaning, to understand motives, emotions, and unspoken truths. So when the conversation revolves around weather, trends, or gossip, they quietly start to fade. It's not arrogance or antisocial behavior, it's neurological design. INFJs have an intuitive wiring, introverted intuition, that constantly seeks patterns beneath the surface. When they talk, they want to explore something: purpose, growth, psychology, philosophy, or emotion. They want to understand why someone feels what they feel or how they became who they are. That's why one deep, authentic conversation can recharge them more than an entire day of socializing filled with polite exchanges. In small talk, their brain simply has nothing to grip onto. It's like a high-performance engine forced to idle in traffic, still running but going nowhere. The INFJ listens, nods, and smiles, but internally they're scanning for something deeper to anchor the discussion. If it never comes, their energy quietly drains. It isn't boredom, it's misalignment. Their mind thrives on emotional honesty and intellectual curiosity, and when those are missing, they feel spiritually starved. The irony is that INFJs often appear excellent at small talk. They can be warm, attentive, and polite, but beneath that, they're analyzing tone, sincerity, and energy, trying to find a bridge into something more real. When that bridge never appears, they retreat inward. It's not that they don't want to connect, it's that shallow connections hurt them more than isolation does. That's why people often feel seen or understood after a single deep conversation with an INFJ. They give their full focus, empathy, and understanding, but only when it feels authentic. Anything less feels false. And falsehood to an INFJ is emotional noise. Their silence in such moments isn't disinterest, it's self-preservation, because they know that if the soul isn't in the conversation, there's nothing worth saying. They constantly mirror and adapt to others' emotions. For the INFJ, social interaction isn't passive, it's a full-time emotional performance happening beneath the surface. Their empathy is so instinctive that they unconsciously mirror the emotions of the people around them. When someone is happy, the INFJ's energy subtly rises. When someone is anxious or angry, their mood shifts in response, even if they have no personal reason to feel that way. It's like being a human emotional chameleon, blending into the tone of every room they enter. This mirroring isn't fake, it's how they connect. The INFJ adapts, not to manipulate, but to comfort. If someone is nervous, they soften their tone. If someone is sad, they slow their pace and speak gently. Their intuition constantly scans the emotional field, adjusting to make others feel seen and safe. But what others experience as warmth or understanding often leaves the INFJ completely drained. They've been shape-shifting emotionally for so long that they sometimes lose track of what they actually feel. This is why INFJs often leave social gatherings feeling hollow or confused. They've been so tuned into others' emotions that their own have been temporarily overridden. The world reads this as social skill. You're so easy to talk to, you always understand me. But beneath that praise, the INFJ is silently trying to recover their authentic state. Their emotional boundaries blur easily, not out of weakness, but because their empathy operates like a radar that can't be turned off. Over time, this emotional adaptability becomes both their superpower and their burden. It allows them to diffuse tension, comfort pain, and build trust effortlessly. But it also means they're constantly processing emotional frequencies that aren't theirs. The cost of understanding everyone is that they often feel like no one truly understands them. To the INFJ, peace doesn't come from social harmony, it comes from solitude, where their emotions stop echoing everyone else's. In the quiet, they can finally recalibrate, releasing the borrowed feelings they've carried all day. That's why small talk exhausts them and deep conversations heal them. One drains their energy through endless emotional adjustment, the other restores it by letting them simply be, without needing to mirror anyone at all. They struggle to fake interest, and their mind rebels against it. For an INFJ, pretending to care about something meaningless feels almost physically painful. Their mind and emotions are wired for authenticity. They crave genuine connection, purpose, and truth in everything they do. So when they're forced into conversations about gossip, shallow opinions, or repetitive small talk, something inside them quietly shuts down. It's not that they're rude or superior, it's that their brain literally resists engaging with things that lack depth or sincerity. INFJs have a rare combination of emotional sensitivity and intellectual depth. When they listen, they want to feel something real, not just noise bouncing between mouths. But small talk offers no substance for their intuition, or their empathy process. There's no pattern to decode, no emotional honesty to connect to. So while others might be energized by casual chatter, the INFJ's inner world begins to drift. Their eyes may stay on the conversation, but mentally, they're already gone, lost in thought, analyzing, or quietly observing. The more they force themselves to act interested, the more internal resistance they feel. Their body might stay polite, a smile, a nod, a gentle, yeah, totally, but their spirit grows restless. Their intuition starts whispering, this doesn't matter. It's not arrogance, it's misalignment. Their energy naturally gravitates toward meaning, toward discussions that awaken curiosity, self-awareness, or emotional truth. When none of that is present, the INFJ experiences what feels like soul fatigue. This is why they often come across as quiet or distant in group settings. It's not that they can't socialize, it's that they can't pretend for long. Their authenticity demands space to breathe. They'd rather say nothing than contribute to a conversation that feels hollow. To others, that restraint might seem mysterious, but to the INFJ, it's survival. Deep down, they longed for dialogue that makes them come alive, talks that reveal who someone truly is, what they dream about, what they fear, what they love. When that kind of conversation happens, their entire presence changes. Their eyes light up, their energy flows, and their quiet intensity turns magnetic. But until then, they'll stay silent, not out of disinterest, but because pretending has always felt more exhausting than solitude ever could. They feel disconnected when conversations lack authenticity. INFJs crave truth like oxygen. Their entire sense of connection depends on authenticity, on the genuine exchange of thoughts, feelings, and energy. So when conversations stay at the surface, filled with polite laughter or performative chatter, they feel emotionally stranded. It's like being in a crowded room, but realizing no one is really there. The INFJ's intuition immediately senses when people are hiding behind masks, and no matter how kind their words sound, the lack of sincerity creates quiet dissonance inside them. This sensitivity isn't a choice, it's instinct. INFJs read emotional authenticity the way others read facial expressions. They can feel when someone's words don't match their tone, when compliments are rehearsed, or when enthusiasm is forced. Their intuition picks up every subtle cue, and once they detect insincerity, the connection begins to dissolve. They might stay physically present, nodding and smiling, but internally they've retreated to preserve their energy. It's not that INFJs expect everyone to bear their soul in every conversation. They simply want to feel real presence. Even a short, honest exchange can recharge them far more than an hour of empty talk. Authenticity for them isn't about sharing secrets or trauma, it's about alignment. It's when what someone says matches what they feel, when honesty replaces performance, even in the smallest way. That's when the INFJ feels safe enough to open up too. But when that authenticity is missing, their nervous system feels it immediately. It's not rejection, it's self-protection. They'll start withdrawing emotionally first, then physically. Others might think they're shy or distant, but what's really happening is that the INFJ is starving for truth. Their depth makes it impossible for them to thrive on superficial exchanges. And this is why people often feel such comfort in an INFJ's presence, because when the INFJ does connect, it's real. There's no pretending, no hidden motive. They give their full attention, empathy, and emotional honesty, the very things they long to receive in return. So when they fall quiet during hollow conversations, it's not rejection. It's a quiet act of preservation, a way of saying, I'll wait for something real. Their intuition overanalyzes every subtle cue. For the INFJ, no detail is ever just a detail. A slight change in tone, a glance too long, a hesitation mid-sentence, all of it registers instantly. Their intuition is always scanning for emotional truth beneath the surface, trying to connect invisible dots that others don't even notice. While most people listen to words, the INFJ listens to everything else. Their mind interprets silence, pauses, energy shifts, and micro-expressions like data points in an emotional equation, constantly decoding what someone really means versus what they say. This ability is both a gift and a curse. On one hand, it gives INFJs a kind of emotional X-ray vision. They can walk into a room and instantly sense tension, sadness, or dishonesty before anyone speaks. It's what makes them so intuitive, empathetic, and understanding. They can see beyond masks and feel the story people are trying to hide. But on the other hand, this constant analysis is mentally exhausting. Even a short social interaction can feel like reading 100 emotional subtexts all at once. Their mind rarely stops. After a conversation, they might replay it repeatedly, analyzing every nuance. Why did their tone change when I mentioned that? Did they mean what they said? Were they hiding something? It's not paranoia, it's their intuition doing what it's trained to do. Protect them through understanding. But this overprocessing can spiral into emotional fatigue, especially when they're surrounded by inauthentic or unpredictable people. What others might brush off as just a weird vibe, the INFJ experiences as a flood of sensory emotional data that demands interpretation. And when they can't find clear meaning in it, when people send mixed signals or hide behind false positivity, their brain refuses to let go. It keeps spinning the same questions until exhaustion forces a shutdown. This is why INFJs crave emotional clarity and calm environments. When the energy around them is grounded and real, their intuition finally rests. But when it's filled with contradictions or pretense, they feel trapped inside their own mind, trying to decode everyone while quietly losing themselves in the process. Their overanalysis isn't obsession, it's the price they pay for perceiving reality too deeply. They experience empathic fatigue from emotional overload. INFJs absorb emotions like sponges, not just their own, but everyone else's too. When they walk into a room, they don't just see faces, they feel atmospheres. If someone is angry, anxious, or hurting, the INFJ's emotional radar locks onto it immediately. Their empathy is so strong that they begin to carry other people's emotions as if they were their own. At first, this makes them incredible listeners, friends, and partners. People feel safe opening up to them because they truly feel understood. But over time, this same gift becomes a source of exhaustion. Empathic fatigue sets in when the INFJ's emotional system becomes overloaded. They've been absorbing too much pain, too many conflicting feelings, and too many stories without enough time to release them. It's not always obvious when it happens. They might still smile, still show patience, still give, but inside they feel drained to the core. It's like carrying invisible weights from everyone else's struggles while forgetting their own emotional body needs rest too. The hardest part is that INFJs often don't realize when they've crossed the line from empathy into emotional burnout. Their natural instinct is to help, to listen, to comfort, but because they're constantly processing other people's pain, their nervous system starts operating in overdrive. They might feel unexplainably tired, moody, or detached, not realizing it's their body's way of saying, enough. This is why solitude is essential for INFJs, not optional. Alone time isn't isolation, it's recovery. It's the only space where they can separate their emotions from everyone else's, breathe without absorbing, and recalibrate their own peace. Without that reset, empathy turns into heaviness, and heaviness turns into silence. Empathic fatigue is what eventually makes INFJs appear cold or distant, but it's not that they've stopped caring, it's that they cared too much for too long. When they retreat, it's not rejection of others, it's repair of themselves. Once they recharge, they return to the world with even deeper compassion, but this time with boundaries, because they finally understand you can't pour from an empty heart, and sometimes the kindest thing an empath can do is step back and breathe. They recharge through solitude and meaningful reflection. For the INFJ, solitude isn't loneliness, it's oxygen. It's the place where their mind, heart, and intuition finally find peace after being overloaded by the noise of the outside world. When they spend too long surrounded by surface-level conversations or emotionally chaotic environments, their inner world starts to feel cluttered. Solitude becomes the reset button that clears out everyone else's energy so they can reconnect with their own. During these quiet moments, INFJs don't just rest, they reflect. Their mind naturally revisits past interactions, decisions, and emotions, not to dwell on them, but to extract meaning. They ask themselves why something happened, what it revealed about them, and how they can grow from it. This reflection isn't self-pity, it's emotional refinement. It's how they transform experiences, even painful ones, into wisdom. Most people recharge through distraction, but INFJs recharge through depth, reading a book that moves them, journaling about their thoughts, meditating in silence, or simply walking alone in nature. These aren't hobbies for them, they're therapy. Every moment of quiet allows them to return to themselves after spending so much time adapting to others. It's in solitude that the INFJ's intuition sharpens and their empathy resets. They start to separate what they feel from what they've absorbed, and that clarity brings an almost spiritual calm. It's also the reason they guard their alone time so fiercely. To outsiders, their need for space might look like withdrawal or avoidance, but for the INFJ, it's survival. When they finally emerge from solitude, they're not detached, they're rebalanced. They return more centered, more discerning, and more connected to their purpose. This is the cycle that keeps them emotionally intelligent instead of emotionally overwhelmed. Because solitude isn't the absence of people, it's the presence of self. And for the INFJ, that presence is where their deepest healing, creativity, and strength are born. They prefer silent understanding over constant communication. For the INFJ, words are powerful, but they're not always necessary. What they crave most isn't endless conversation, it's genuine understanding. They value the kind of connection where silence feels comfortable, where someone can simply get them without needing explanations or constant reassurance. That's rare, and it's why they often feel more at peace alone than surrounded by people who only hear but never truly listen. And small talk drains them because it feels like emotional noise. INFJs want conversations that mean something, that reveal truth, purpose, or depth. But in a world that often mistakes loudness for confidence and constant talking for connection, their quiet nature can be misinterpreted as distance. What others don't see is that the INFJ's silence often holds more honesty than most people's words. They don't talk to fill space, they speak when it matters. When they connect with someone who understands their silence, it feels like relief. No need to perform, no need to explain, just mutual presence. They value people who notice their energy shifts, who sense when something's off, and who respect their need for quiet without making it personal. That kind of unspoken understanding is intimacy to them. Constant communication, on the other hand, can feel like pressure. It forces them to stay on when their mind needs to rest. The INFJ's thoughts run deep, and silence is where they process, recharge, and make sense of their emotions. It's not avoidance, it's introspection. And the people who understand that silence is part of who they are will always have a deeper bond with them. So when an INFJ goes quiet, it's not disinterest, it's reflection. When they listen more than they speak, it's not because they're cold, it's because they're tuned in to meaning. Their silence is their language, and those who take the time to understand it will realize something profound. The INFJ doesn't need to talk to be felt. They communicate most powerfully in the spaces between words through presence, empathy, and the rare peace that comes from being truly seen without having to say a thing. At some point, every INFJ realizes that their silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It's the space where their emotions, intuition, and thoughts finally align after a world that never stops demanding noise. The reason small talk, fake connections, and shallow energy drain you isn't because you're weak, it's because your mind was built for depth. You don't crave more people, you crave real understanding. So if you've ever been told you're too quiet, too distant, or too deep, don't change. The world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs the calm awareness that only you bring. Protect your peace, honor your solitude, and remember your silence speaks volumes. If you resonated with this, you're not alone. You're part of a small group of minds who feel deeply and think quietly. Subscribe to Brainy One for more videos that understand you, not the version the world expects, but the one that finally feels like home.